She was quite known for her feisty personality.
Feeling that we got when they came out with the baby, we couldn't miss it again. We couldn't miss this one.
Princess Charlotte secretly got on a plane but didn't look like a royal. She wore a disguise to blend in with other kids. A flight attendant noticed something strange. What happened next surprised all the passengers, and soon everyone in England was talking. Why was Charlotte flying undercover? What did the flight attendant do that caused such a reaction? Setup and motivation. Princess Charlotte always followed the rules. She planned every move and organized every event. But as she grew up, things started to change. She noticed that her friends at school lived their everyday lives. They went to the mall, had sleepovers, and traveled with their families on holidays. Charlotte felt left out. She wanted to experience that too, just for a little while. Charlotte's best friend, Isla, recently moved to Scotland. They used to see each other daily at school, but now they only talk during lunch or send notes via teachers. Charlotte misses Isla a lot. She wanted to visit Isla during the school holidays, but royal rules would not allow it. That's when she made a secret plan. She would visit Isla without anyone knowing. No royal cars, no security, and no cameras. Just a simple trip. To make it work, she needed to travel like a regular teenager. She decided to fly on a commercial plane instead of a royal jet. It felt risky but exciting. Charlotte didn't want to break the rules forever. She only wanted one moment of freedom, one small adventure before returning to palace life. She knew everything had to go well. If anyone found out, she would be in trouble. She chose simple clothes, no royal dresses or shiny shoes. She wore jeans, a hoodie, and comfortable sneakers. She looked like any other teenager, her hair tied up and a cap covering her face. Using her pocket money, she booked a flight named Charlotte Wales to stay hidden. She chose a low-cost airline to blend in with the crowd and packed a small backpack with snacks, a book, and her phone. Charlotte contacted Isla's mom using a school tablet to share her plan and ask for help. Isla's mom agreed and promised to pick her up from the airport. Though she felt nervous, she was excited to leave without anyone noticing. Charlotte pretended to have a long study session and quietly slipped out through a side door at school. Her heart raced, and she smiled when she finally stepped onto the plane. Her adventure had begun. Little did she know that her perfect plan was about to go wrong. One person on that plane would turn her quiet adventure into a nightmare. Airport experience. Charlotte stepped off the bus and looked around the busy airport. People rushed by, some dragging suitcases and others talking on their phones. She held her small backpack tightly and followed the signs to check in. Her heart raced, but no one noticed her, which gave her some courage. At the check-in counter, she gave her name and ticket. The worker printed her boarding pass and smiled. It felt good to be treated like any other passenger. Keeping her head down, she went to security. She placed her backpack, phone, and shoes in a tray at the security checkpoint. They went through the scanner. She walked through the gate, and the guard waved her on. No one stopped her or asked questions. She was really doing this. After that, she walked around the airport. She ate a sandwich in the food court, watching people rush past. Some hurried to their gates, while others relaxed with coffee. She looked in a few shops, touched a soft scarf, and smiled at some teens laughing nearby. Charlotte felt free. Even though she was alone, it felt good to be alone. There were no cameras or guards, just people. She felt like she fit in for the first time, which made the trip worthwhile. When it was time to board, Charlotte joined the line. She moved slowly, holding her ticket. The gate staff checked it and let her through. She walked down the tunnel and got on the plane. Her seat was by the window, and she was excited to look outside. A woman was already in the middle seat. She looked calm and friendly. Charlotte smiled and sat down. The woman introduced herself as Emma and said she was going to Edinburgh for work. Soon a young man sat in the aisle seat. He introduced himself as Jake, a student heading home for a break. They both seemed friendly and relaxed. Charlotte listened to their stories and added her own. She talked about school and that she was going to visit a friend. Emma offered her some gum, and Jake showed her photos on his phone. They talked about books, travel, and funny school stories. They treated her like just another girl. Charlotte felt safe and included. The seat was small, and her knees touched the seat in front, but she didn't mind. It all felt real. Looking out the window, she smiled. This was her chance at freedom, and she was enjoying every moment. Charlotte felt happy and thought everything was perfect. But someone on the plane was watching her closely, and they were not pleased. The conflict develops. Charlotte felt happy in her seat at first. She looked out the window, ate her snack, and enjoyed the soft sounds of the plane. After a while, she got a little hungry again. She smiled and asked the flight attendant, Rebecca, for another snack. Rebecca looked annoyed and said, "Wait like everyone else." Her voice was cold, and Charlotte felt confused about what she had done wrong. Later, the sun was shining too brightly through the window. Charlotte asked if the shade could be lowered. Rebecca looked annoyed and said, "Deal with it. I'm busy." Charlotte stayed quiet and looked down at her hands. A bit later, her juice slipped and spilled on her tray. She gasped and reached for a napkin. Rebecca rushed over and said, "You're clumsy. Watch what you're doing." This made Charlotte feel worse. She started to feel cold and asked for a blanket. Rebecca crossed her arms and said, "This isn't a hotel." Every word from her was harsh. Charlotte was polite, but Rebecca continued to be rude. She even muttered something about spoiled teenagers. Other passengers began to notice. Emma looked worried. Jake frowned. People saw that something was wrong. The plane shook a little during turbulence. Charlotte's phone slipped from her lap and fell into the aisle. She quickly bent down to grab it. At the same time, Rebecca walked by with a tray. She tripped slightly but didn't fall. She looked angry and said, "You're always in the way." Her voice was loud enough for others to hear. Charlotte sat up and placed her phone back on her seat. She kept quiet, but Rebecca didn't stop. She stood in the aisle and said, "What kind of home do you come from? You don't know how to act on a plane." Charlotte felt her throat tighten. She looked down and softly said, "I just wanted to be normal." Rebecca laughed a little and said, "Normal? You're acting like a little princess who thinks the world owes her something." Everything went quiet. Emma looked shocked. Jake stared at Rebecca. A man from the back said, "That's not okay." Charlotte looked out the window again. Her eyes were watery. She wiped her face with her sleeve and stayed silent. She wanted her trip to be fun and free, but now it felt hard. The happiness she had felt earlier started to fade away. Charlotte tried to stay quiet and polite, hoping the trouble would stop, but her secret was about to come out in the worst way possible. The discovery moment. Emma thought about Charlotte. How she talked and sat reminded her of someone she'd seen on TV. Then it hit her. Charlotte looked like Princess Charlotte. Emma saw Rebecca's rudeness but knew Charlotte wanted to keep things quiet. She started filming, holding her camera low to show how Rebecca spoke sharply and ignored Charlotte. Charlotte stayed silent, looking out the window. Jake, sitting nearby, noticed too. "She looks like someone important," he said, and Emma agreed. They realized Charlotte just wanted a simple day without titles and special treatment. Emma kept filming. It wasn't about Charlotte being famous, it was about fairness. Watching Charlotte sit alone made Emma sad, but she believed someone would help. After landing, Emma uploaded the video without clearly showing Charlotte's face. She wrote, "Young royal treated badly on flight by staff," with a focus on Rebecca's behavior. Jake also shared his experience, describing a calm girl being mistreated without mentioning Charlotte's name. Both posts caught attention. The hashtag #PrincessCharlotteFlight appeared as people reacted to Rebecca's actions and admired Charlotte's kindness. Others on the flight shared their own photos and stories. They felt it was time to speak up. Charlotte's small trip became a big story, showing her bravery. Emma just wanted to help a young girl, unaware she was about to make history. Media explosion and immediate response. Soon after the posts appeared online, news spread quickly and major media outlets began covering the story. Many people thought the girl in the hoodie was Princess Charlotte, which made the royal office promptly find her, surprised that she was traveling alone. British Airways also felt the pressure. Management held a meeting to discuss the incident. Public opinion turned negative, with parents sharing their worries online and royal fans praising Charlotte's bravery. A trending hashtag added more attention, calling for the airline to take responsibility and offering supportive messages for Charlotte. On board the flight, the crew learned about this issue when a flight attendant saw a video on a passenger's phone. After telling the captain, he contacted the ground staff, warning them they might have a royal on board. Confusion and anxiety spread among the crew, especially for Rebecca, who initially doubted the claim until she realized her mistake. The mood on the flight changed from normal to tense, as the team worked quickly to resolve the situation with the royal family. As the plane landed, Charlotte remained unaware that the world was watching and waiting for her. Landing and aftermath. When the plane landed in Edinburgh, everything felt heavy. Charlotte sat quietly in her seat, holding her backpack tightly. Emma and Jake stayed close by, offering her calm support. At the airport gate, the Royal Protection Team waited for her. They wore plain clothes and looked serious. They approached slowly and nodded at Charlotte. They did not rush her. They understood she had been through a lot. Charlotte followed them without saying a word. Outside, Charlotte's friend's family waited with smiles, but when they saw the crowd and cameras, their smiles faded. Reporters were already at the airport, eager to see the young princess. The family looked confused. They did not expect this attention. Inside the airport, British Airways staff pulled Rebecca aside and told her she could not work until they reviewed what had happened. Rebecca looked shocked and sat in the staff area with her head in her hands. Later that evening, the airline's CEO spoke to reporters. He said the company was looking into the incident and promised that every passenger deserved care. He also promised to make changes and apologized, showing that the airline wanted to fix the issue quickly. People around the world began talking about Charlotte's flight. Many shared kind words online, praising her for showing strength and good manners during a tough moment. Some called her brave for trying to travel on her own. Many people understood her desire for a normal trip. They shared stories about their children and the importance of giving kids the space to grow. Others expressed disappointment in Rebecca's behavior. They felt upset that any flight worker would treat a child that way. People argued that being polite and caring should be part of the job. Some called for better training and more consideration for young travelers. Passengers from the same flight shared their thoughts too. They described Charlotte as quiet, kind, and well-behaved. She did not cause any trouble and followed every rule, thanking staff each time. A new hashtag began to trend. #LetRoyals. Be Kids in support of Charlotte. People discussed how royal children should have the chance to live like other kids. Even some celebrities joined in, noting that Charlotte's story highlighted the challenges of being in the public eye. Although Charlotte tried to stay hidden, her story sparked honest conversations. The cameras were rolling, and everyone wanted to see the brave princess. But a surprising twist was still ahead, and it would catch everyone off guard. Consequences and changes. After the truth came out, things changed quickly. British Airways acted immediately. They removed Rebecca from her job and dismissed her from the airline. The company apologized publicly, stating that no one should be treated poorly, no matter who they are. The airline also started a full review of its staff training. It promised to improve and treat every passenger with care and respect. It even created a new system to check for high-profile passengers to prevent surprises quietly. Charlotte spoke up in a quiet interview. She said she just wanted to feel normal for a day. She didn't expect anything special, just kindness. Her words touched many people. Kate and William expressed their hope that their kids could enjoy simple moments constantly without being watched. Rebecca shared a message too. She apologized for her behavior and acknowledged that stress had affected her. Her actions had consequences, and she lost her job. This moment became a turning point for her. The flight incident had a lasting effect. Many airlines looked at this story and decided to make fundamental changes. Staff now go through updated training that focuses on kindness and respect. One airline started a course called Respectful Service, designed to handle situations like this. They added clear guidelines on how to treat every young flyer with care. Behind the scenes, staff received tips on how to handle special guests who might want privacy. Some now refer to these as the Charlotte Guidelines. The people involved grew from this experience. Charlotte handled the situation with quiet strength. She learned a lot about people and the importance of actions. She emerged from the experience stronger and more thoughtful. Rebecca also began a new chapter. After leaving her job, she reflected on her behavior. Later, she worked with a group that teaches travel workers about empathy and customer care. Charlotte's secret flight became a lesson for everyone. One brave choice changed many lives. If this story touched you, please like, share it with friends, and subscribe for more true stories that inspire kindness and change.